remember we read this in Srila Prabhupada's books. Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. This used to bother me. Why do we say Krishna is the truth? Understand he is God, he is Purusha, all that we can understand. But he is the absolute truth. Why is it described? Satyam param dhimahi. That's how the Bhagavatam begins. I meditate on that supreme absolute truth, who is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, who is the son of Vasudeva. This is how Bhagavatam explains. As the absolute truth, Krishna is the absolute truth, supreme truth, ultimate truth. So, it used to, Krishna is, God is understandable. Krishna is truth. So actually, we must understand what is the truth. Krishna sets out a very nice principle to understand what is true and what is not true. Krishna begins this in the very early part of the Bhagavad-Gita. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drishtontas, tvanayos tattvadarshibihi. Tattvadarshibihi, tattvadarshi means one who has seen the truth. Ubhayorapi drishtontas, tvanayos tattva, antaha. Antaha means end, or they have concluded. By studying the nature of both, ubhayorapi drishtontas, they have studied the nature of both and they have concluded. The seers of the truth have concluded. About what? Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. Krishna has to use two words in the first line of the shloka. Sat and asat. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. Asataha and sataha. And Krishna is saying the test to see something is sat or asat is endurance. Something that endures is sat. Something that does not endure is asat. So, that which endures is sat. It should endure. It should endure means it should sustain in all phases of time. Time has three phases: past, present, and future. Something that lasts and endures and sustains in the three phases of time is called Sat. And something that does not exist in the three phases of time, it does not endure, it is Asat. This is the test that Krishna is giving. Now let's say, for instance, one kind of an experience all of us have. Upanishads talk about it. One kind of an experience we all have is called swapna or dream. If you sleep for some number of hours, if you sleep very less, you may not get dream. But if you sleep a little longer, we all have dream. And in the dream, we see all kinds of things happening. I dream I have become a king. I have a kingdom. I have treasury. And I'll be talking like a king. And I'll be interacting with people around me as a king. Till the alarm goes off. And when the alarm goes off, oh, I'm not a king. So, the idea that I was a king and I had a kingdom, I had treasury, I was interacting with my ministers, with commanders, all that did not endure. And hence we know it is asat. Right? Suppose a student is studying very hard for an exam and he goes to sleep. And in the dream, he passes the exam. Next, when he wakes up, oh, I've already passed the exam. Can he say? No, he knows. That was a dream. Gone. Let me go back to my studies. A businessman who sleeps and in his dream, he makes a good deal. Big money he makes. Crores of rupees. And then he wakes up. Will he go and check his bank account? Did the crores of rupees come there? No, he won't. Because the crores he earned in the dream was only a dream currency. It will not be there here. So dream, we all know, is asat. Now the Shastras point out, now in this life, we may dream, sleep and come back, and we keep coming back to the same reality. We interact with all the same people again and again. So this looks like it is real. Definitely compared to dream, this is real. Right? But the Shastras point out, in our previous life, we were in another situation. Isn't it? We had father, mother, husband, wife, children, home. And then something happens called death, and we get separated from that. That's what we see that happening to people. Somebody who is living with us, one day that person goes away. And then we say he is gone. After that, he has no access to this world which he was part of. He was having a house, he earned money, he built a house, he had a family, he had loving relations, and then he's gone. He no more has an access to it. That's going to happen to us too. So, this world of existence and relationships and names and forms and activities, is this real? Comes the next question. Apply the same test Krishna has given. Does this endure with time? It does not endure. Hence it is also asat. Now this much we can understand. But beyond this, okay, dream was one level of realism or unrealism. This is another level of realism or unrealism. Beyond this what? By speculation we cannot figure out. We need the help of the Shastra. Now the Shastras say, just like dream was unreal, asat, this world and the existence here is also asat in the sense of anitya, in the sense of lacking. Asat actually has another sense of that word asat, lacks substantiality. It does not have substantiality. This world, all the money we earn, all the assets we build, all the name and fame we have, all the prestige we have, everything will be gone. There is something called a force of time which crushes everything undeniably, unavoidably. No one has succeeded to hold on to it forever. History of humanity has proved that. There were powerful leaders, powerful emperors. None of them survived. They're all gone. Now the Shastras say, yes, this is also asat. In fact, this world is described in the Shastra as a world of duality, because actually what's happening, you see, without the help of Shastra, we cannot figure out all this. So Krishna says, in this world, in this body, Our own body is something very part of us, right? Part of our reality. And Krishna is describing in this body, there is a Sat element and an Asat element. The body is the Asat element. But in that body, inhabiting in the body, residing in the body, there is a Sat element. And even this body, although it is not enduring, it's constantly changing, there is one Sat element which is continuing to remain the same. Please observe. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavvanam chara. The body has gone through kaumara, yavvana, jara. But there is one asat element, which is the observer, the experiencer. It is the same. Tata dehantara praptihi. So that asat element will now accept another body, another situation. One who understands this, dhirastatra na muhyati. See how Krishna is building up this. So, now the Shastras indicate there is another level of reality which is eternal, which is Sat. Now, that Sat reality has come from a person. And that person is a Sat person. And from that Sat person, the Sat reality came. Just like, say for instance, there is one example. There was a poor man in a village. Sometimes we hear about this kind of stories in our country. He came from a simple rural background. He went to a rural school and then he studied well. Then he came to some city and then he studied well. He got a job and he rose up and he became a big man, rich man. And with the money, he built his house. And all the big bungalow he started from nothing. And say for instance, we go to his house. He invites us to his house. And we see the big bungalow. And then all the bungalow. See, he started off nothing. And this bungalow has come about. This bungalow has come from him. His hard work, his intelligence. He worked hard. He earned money. Started with nothing. Right? So you can see that whole bungalow, the estate, the big property, everything has come from him. In the same way, the Shastras say, there is one eternal person. From him comes the eternal world. And from him comes particles of existence. They are the Atmas. Why did he become? Eko Bhushyamaha. He was one, but he became many. Why? For his pleasure. So, actually what's happening is, we look at the material world. We are in the material world. We are inhabitants of the material world. We are trying to understand the spiritual world. But actually, the spiritual world is the greater world which existed always. And the material world is a subset of that one. It came from the spiritual reality. It's like a prisoner. Say for instance, there is a prisoner who was, it's not really difficult to, it's not such example doesn't exist. But anyway, suppose somebody was born in a prison, grew up in a prison, and his whole world experience is of the prison. Now he is trying to understand there is a free world. But actually there is a free world and the prison is a small subset. So in the same way, like a prisoner's view of the free world, we are here trying to figure out the free and the eternal world. So now there is the eternal person, and from him there is an eternal world, and from him there are eternal living entities who came from him. He became many for his pleasure. Because if he is a person means there is no pleasure if there are no other people with us. Just like Prabhupada gives the example. Why does a father or a mother, they marry and they have children? Because they think that when I have a family, it will be very nice pleasure. So to expand his pleasure, a man accepts a wife and has children and then builds house, works hard, so that with the family there is happiness. You see, this is how it proceeds, isn't it? In the same way, this is the fundamental nature of a personality. Personality means he needs the company of others. And in the company, there's another beautiful thing that our Gaudiya Vaishnavism teaches. In the company of others, there is exchange of rasa in relationships. And that rasa relationships are of varieties of flavors. And in such exchange gives pleasure. And when that Lord became many as living entities, and he wanted that rasa exchange with them, that rasa exchange is of love, and for love to exist, free will is required. So he gave free will to the living entities, and some living entities misused that free will and began to question, why should I serve the Lord? Why should I love the Lord? Immediately Krishna sensed that, some of these living entities are misusing the freedom. Immediately he created another world, temporary world, and transported them there. That's what we are all. And we are here trying to figure out what this world is. See, this is how our situation is. This is the presentation of Srila Prabhupada and our Acharyas. Why the world exists. And so, the important point, so this world is asat, there is another world which is sat, and in that sat world also came from a person, and that person is the primary reality. And since he is the primary reality, from him the world which came from him, which is also the spiritual world, is also eternal. But the spiritual world also came from him. And hence, he is the ultimate truth. And that ultimate truth is a person. This is the revelation of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This world is temporary. Dream is temporary. The world is temporary. There is another world which is permanent. But that permanent world also came from a person. And that person is the primary person from whom the world came. So his existence is primary. And hence, that primary person is the absolute person who is the absolute truth. Now you see how we understand why Krishna is described as Satyam Param Dhimahi. So he alone is truth.